Admiral Kyle Morrison stood on the bridge of Terra Prime, Earth's largest orbital defense station. Through the massive viewport, he watched space itself tear open as enormous alien ships emerged from what looked like glowing wounds in reality. Each vessel was the size of a small city, their dark hulls gleaming with unknown metals and pulsing with alien energy. "Sir, we're counting 847 ships," reported Commander Lisa Bennett, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "They're positioning themselves in a sphere formation around Earth." Morrison felt his stomach drop. Earth's entire space navy had only 200 ships, and most of those were outdated patrol vessels. These alien monsters looked like they could destroy continents with their main guns. On the bridge's main screen, an image appeared that made everyone freeze. The creature was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its eyes were large and black, completely without emotion. When it spoke, its voice came through the speakers in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Krelnax of the Galactic Hegemony," the alien said. "We represent 12 advanced species who have ruled this galaxy for over 50,000 years. Your primitive species has been observed and judged." Morrison exchanged glances with General Marcus Wright, who had just arrived on the station. The general's face was grim as he listened to the alien's words. "Humanity has shown itself to be violent and dangerous," Krelnax continued. "Your expansion into space threatens the stability of our empire. Therefore, the Hegemony Council has decided that Earth must surrender immediately." The alien paused, letting the words sink in. Morrison could see other human ships on his tactical display, all looking tiny compared to the alien fleet surrounding them. "You have exactly 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Your leaders will present themselves to our ships for processing. Your military will be disbanded. Your population will be relocated to designated worlds where you will serve the hegemony as workers." Admiral Sarah Blake, commanding the orbital fleet, appeared on another screen. Her face was pale but determined. "Admiral Morrison, are you seeing this?" "Every word," Morrison replied. "They want us to become slaves." President Helen Carter's voice came through the emergency channel from the White House. "All military commanders, report to secure channels immediately. We need options, and we need them now." Down in the Situation Room, General Frank Peters was already pulling up defensive plans. The numbers looked impossible. Even if every human ship fought perfectly, they would be outnumbered 4-1 by vessels that were clearly more advanced. "The alien weapons appear to be plasma-based," reported Captain Amy Stone from the analysis team. "Our shields might hold for a few minutes against their smaller guns, but those main cannons would cut through our ships like paper." Colonel Danny Hayes, head of Special Operations, was studying the alien formation. "They're confident," he said. "Too confident. They're not even trying to hide their positions or protect their flanks. They think we're no threat at all." President Carter appeared on the main screen looking tired but strong. "Ladies and gentlemen, they've given us 3 days to decide the fate of our entire species. I want every option on the table, no matter how desperate." Admiral Jake Collins, head of Naval Intelligence, raised his hand. "Madam President, there might be something. We've been getting strange signals from the outer system, coded transmissions on frequencies that officially don't exist." The room went quiet. General Wright leaned forward. "What kind of transmissions?" "They claim to be from Admiral Alex Harper," Collins said quietly. "But Harper died 3 years ago, during the first alien contact incident." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. Everyone in the military knew about Harper. He had been commanding a deep space patrol when his entire fleet vanished without a trace. The official report said they had encountered hostile aliens and been destroyed. "The transmissions are definitely coming from human ships," Collins continued. "But the technology they're using is beyond anything in our current fleet." Dr. Rachel Green from the research division stepped forward. "I've been analyzing the signal patterns. Whoever is sending these messages has access to alien technology, but they're definitely human. The communication protocols match Harper's old command codes." President Carter looked around the room. "Are you telling me that Admiral Harper might be alive out there with ships we don't know about?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you," Collins replied. And if the power readings we're detecting are accurate, his ships are unlike anything we've ever built. On the orbital stations around Earth, human crews watched the alien fleet with growing fear. The enemy ships were so large that they blocked out stars. Weapon ports along their hulls glowed with barely contained energy. It was clear that these aliens could destroy Earth's civilization without breaking a sweat. Commander Lisa Bennett received another transmission from the alien flagship. This time it was a different alien, one with more military bearing. I am War Prime Thosak, Supreme Commander of this fleet. We have studied your species for many years. We know your weapons, your tactics, your weaknesses. Resistance is impossible. The alien commander's image showed views of human cities from space. Choose your answer carefully. We can make your end quick and clean, or we can demonstrate why no species has ever successfully opposed the hegemony. Morrison felt anger building in his chest. These creatures talked about humanity like they were discussing pest control. They had no idea what humans were capable of when pushed to the edge. Down on Earth, emergency broadcasts were going out to every nation. Military bases around the world were being placed on highest alert. But everyone knew the truth. If those alien ships opened fire, there was nothing Earth's ground forces could do to stop them. In the secure bunker beneath NORAD, Dr. Green was working frantically to decode more of the mysterious transmissions. The signals were coming from multiple sources scattered throughout the outer solar system. Whatever Admiral Harper was commanding out there, it wasn't just one ship. Madam President, Dr. Green called out suddenly. I'm getting a direct transmission addressed to you personally. It's using Harper's old command codes, but with encryption I've never seen before. The main screen flickered, and a familiar face appeared. Admiral Alex Harper looked older with gray in his hair and new scars on his face, but his eyes held a confidence that hadn't been there before. Helen, Harper said, using the president's first name like an old friend. I know this looks impossible, but trust me when I say that humanity is not as helpless as these aliens think. Keep them talking for as long as possible. Don't give them an answer until the last minute. The transmission cut off, leaving the room in stunned silence. Admiral Harper was alive, and apparently he had a plan. Outside, the alien fleet continued its silent vigil around Earth, waiting for humanity's surrender. They had no idea that somewhere in the darkness beyond the planets, other ships were moving into position. Dr. Rachel Green worked through the night, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she tried to establish a secure connection with Admiral Harper. The equipment around her hummed with activity, scanning frequencies that weren't supposed to exist. Finally, at 3 a.m, she broke through. "This is Harper," came the familiar voice through the speakers. "Rachel, is that you?" "Alex, thank God you're alive," Dr. Green replied, tears in her eyes. "We thought you were dead. Everyone thought your entire fleet was destroyed. In a way, it was," Harper said quietly. "But what rose from those ashes is something the galaxy has never seen before. I need to speak with the president immediately. And Rachel, everything I'm about to tell you is going to sound impossible." Within an hour, President Carter was back in the secure bunker along with General Wright and Admiral Morrison. The main screen showed Harper's face, but behind him they could see the bridge of a ship unlike anything in Earth's fleet. The technology looked both human and alien at the same time. 3 years ago, my fleet encountered a hegemony scout force, Harper began. They destroyed most of my ships, but we managed to capture one of theirs before they could send a warning. That's when we learned the truth about what was coming. General Wright leaned forward. "What truth?" "The hegemony has been planning to invade Earth for over a decade," Harper replied. "They've been studying us, learning our weaknesses, preparing for this exact moment. But they made one mistake. They underestimated human adaptability." Harper's image shifted to show views of the ship around him. The corridors were filled with human crew members, but the technology was clearly beyond anything Earth had produced. "We took that captured ship apart piece by piece. We learned how their engines work, how their weapons function, how their computers think." Admiral Jack Turner appeared beside Harper on the screen. Turner was supposed to be commanding Earth's outer system defenses, but apparently he had been doing something very different. "We built new shipyards beyond the asteroid belt," Turner explained. using materials from captured alien ships and breakthrough human engineering. We've been preparing for this invasion while staying completely hidden from their sensors. Dr. Michael Torres, Earth's leading physicist, appeared on screen next. Everyone had thought he was working on theoretical research, but clearly his work had been much more practical. The aliens rely on technology that hasn't changed in thousands of years, Torres said. They're advanced, but they're also stagnant. Humans have been innovating at a rate they can't comprehend. President Carter looked stunned. How many ships are we talking about? Captain Ben Lewis, Harper's second-in-command, answered. 130 ships, Madam President, each one incorporating the best of alien technology with human innovation. They're faster, more maneuverable, and armed with weapons the hegemony has never encountered. The screen shifted to show tactical displays of the alien fleet surrounding Earth. Red dots marked each enemy ship, while blue indicators showed hidden human vessels positioned throughout the solar system. We've been watching them for days, explained Lieutenant Commander Rita Walsh, the fleet's intelligence officer. Their formation is perfect for intimidating a primitive species, but terrible for actual combat. They have massive blind spots and their ships are too close together. Admiral Morrison couldn't believe what he was hearing. You're telling me we have a secret fleet that's been hiding in our own solar system? Not just hiding, Harper replied. Learning, adapting, preparing. Every piece of alien technology we've captured has made us stronger. Every tactic they use has been studied and countered. Captain Nick Barnes appeared on another part of the screen, speaking from the bridge of his own ship. The aliens think they know everything about human combat capabilities. They've based their entire strategy on outdated information from 3 years ago. Commander Paula James added, They don't know about our new stealth systems, our adaptive weapons, or our breakthrough in shield technology. As far as they're concerned, we're still using the same primitive ships they encountered before. Colonel Steve Murphy, commanding a specialized assault vessel, showed them images of new weapons being loaded into launch tubes. These quantum torpedoes were designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in hegemony shield frequencies. Each one can take down ships 10 times its size. The president looked around the room at her advisors, then back at the screen. Alex, are you telling me we can actually win this fight? Harper's expression grew serious. Helen, I'm telling you that we're going to do more than win. We're going to send a message to every species in the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. Dr. Torres brought up technical specifications on the screen. Our ships use a hybrid technology that combines alien efficiency with human creativity. The result is vessels that can outfight anything the hegemony has ever produced. Captain Roy Davis, commanding one of the strike groups, reported in from his position near Jupiter. Ma'am, we've been tracking hegemony communication patterns. They're so confident in their victory that they're not even bothering with basic security protocols. Commander Linda Clark added from her ship near Saturn, their fleet commanders are already making plans for dividing up Earth's resources. They have no idea what's about to hit them. The alien fleet around Earth continued its intimidating display, moving into final attack positions. Ambassador Krelnax had sent several more messages demanding Earth's surrender, each one more impatient than the last. Major Tony Rodriguez, commanding a group of stealth fighters, reported that alien sensors were completely unable to detect the Shadow Fleet. They're using the same scanning technology they've used for millennia. Our stealth systems are based on principles they don't even know exist. Admiral Harper brought up the complete battle plan on the main screen. It was complex and beautiful, like a deadly dance choreographed across the entire solar system. Every human ship had a specific target and role. When the time comes, we'll hit them from every direction. At once, Harper explained. Ships will decloak simultaneously throughout their formation. By the time they realize what's happening, it will be too late. Captain Ellen King, commanding the destroyer Retribution, checked in from her position beyond Pluto. All strike groups. Report ready, Admiral. We're just waiting for your signal. Major Chris Adams, aboard the heavy cruiser Defiance, confirmed that his weapons were charged and ready. The aliens are about to learn why humans are considered the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Commander Nina Walsh, from her stealth Frigate Vengeance reported that alien command ships had been identified and targeted. We know exactly which ships contain their leadership. They won't survive the first 5 minutes. President Carter took a deep breath. How long do we have to wait? 6 hours until their deadline, Harper replied. We let them get comfortable. Let them think they've already won. Then we show them what human ingenuity really looks like. As the secret conference ended, the Shadow Fleet remained hidden in the darkness of space, waiting for the moment to strike. The aliens had no idea that their prey had become the predator, or that Earth's surrender would never come. 6 hours before the deadline, the Hegemony Fleet began moving into their final attack formation. Ambassador Krelnax stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth turn slowly below. The planet looked peaceful and helpless, completely unaware that its doom was approaching. War Prime Thossack, are your forces ready? Krelnax asked his military commander. The alien general nodded his massive head. Every ship is in position. We can begin the demonstration bombardment at your command. One small human city should be enough to break their will. Krelnax smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Excellent. These humans have been unusually quiet. I expected more begging and pleading by now. On Earth, President Carter sat in the Situation Room, surrounded by her military leaders. Every few minutes, another message came from the alien fleet demanding an immediate response. She ignored them all. Madam President, General Wright said quietly, the aliens are getting impatient. Our communications teams are intercepting increased chatter between their ships. Admiral Morrison checked his watch. 5 hours and 30 minutes until the deadline. Are we really going to wait until the last second? Dr. Green looked up from her communications console. Admiral Harper's orders were clear. Let them think they've already won. The more confident they become, the more devastating our surprise will be. In the hidden shipyards beyond the asteroid belt, the Shadow Fleet was making final preparations. Admiral Harper walked through the corridors of his flagship, checking on his crew. These men and women had volunteered for a mission they weren't sure they would survive. Captain Roy Davis reported from his strike group commander position. All ships report ready, Admiral. Weapons are charged. Stealth systems are operating perfectly. The enemy still has no idea we're here. Commander Linda. Clark's voice came through the communication system from her position near Saturn. Long-range sensors confirm the alien fleet is completely focused on Earth. They're not even running standard perimeter sweeps. Harper nodded grimly. The aliens' arrogance would be their downfall. They were so certain of their superiority that they hadn't bothered with basic military precautions. Major Tony Rodriguez checked in from his stealth fighter squadron. Admiral, we've identified the alien command structure. Their flagship is easy to spot. It's the biggest and most heavily armed ship in their formation. The Shadow Fleet was positioned in a three-dimensional formation that surrounded the alien fleet completely. Ships like the Retribution under Captain Ellen King and the Defiance commanded by Major Chris Adams were hidden in the darkness, waiting for the signal to attack. On Earth, the final hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Cities around the world had been evacuated, though everyone knew it wouldn't matter if the aliens decided to destroy the planet. Military bases were on highest alert, but their weapons were useless against the massive fleet in orbit. Colonel Danny, Hayes coordinated with resistance groups around the world. If humanity somehow survived the next few hours, they would need to be ready for whatever came next. Captain Amy Stone analyzed the latest intelligence from the Shadow Fleet. The aliens are using communication frequencies that follow predictable patterns. Once the battle starts, we can jam their coordination channels. 4 hours before the deadline, War Prime Thossack began targeting systems checks on his main weapons. Massive plasma cannons emerged from hidden ports along his flagship's hull. Each weapon could level a mountain range with a single shot. Begin charging the demonstration cannon, Thossack ordered. Target the human settlement they call Denver. A precise strike on their city center should provide an adequate display. Krelnax watched the weapon systems come online with satisfaction. Inform the human leadership that they have 1 hour to respond, or we will begin showing them the price of defiance. The message reached Earth within minutes, President Carter read the alien ultimatum while her military advisors waited tensely around her. "They're going to destroy Denver if we don't surrender in 1 hour," she told the room. 1 million people will die just to prove a point. Admiral Morrison clenched his fists. "We could evacuate the city, but there's nowhere to run. If we give in now, they'll just pick another target tomorrow." General Peters looked at the tactical displays showing the alien fleet. "Our conventional forces are in position, but we all know how this ends if Admiral Harper's plan doesn't work." Dr. Green's console suddenly lit up with an incoming transmission. "It's Admiral Harper, Madam President. Priority channel." Harper's face appeared on the main screen, looking calm and confident despite the approaching deadline. "Helen, it's time to make our choice. Are we going to kneel to these aliens, or are we going to show them what humanity is really made of?" President Carter straightened in her chair. "Alex, if your plan fails, our entire species dies. If we surrender, our entire species dies anyway," Harper replied. "But slowly, over generations as slaves, that's not acceptable." The Shadow Fleet began moving into final attack positions. Ships that had been drifting silently through space for days suddenly came alive with activity. Weapons charged, shields activated, and targeting systems locked onto their assigned enemies. Captain Nick Barnes, commanding a heavy destroyer, reported that his ship was ready for combat. "All systems green, Admiral. We're ready to introduce these aliens to human engineering." Commander Paula James confirmed that her assault group was in position to hit the alien fleet's rear formations. "They've spread themselves out like they're putting on a parade. This is going to be easier than we hoped." Colonel Steve Murphy's specialized vessels were ready to deploy their most devastating weapons. Quantum torpedoes are loaded and targeted. These aliens are about to learn why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. With 30 minutes left until the deadline, War Prime Thossack began final targeting procedures for the Denver strike. His weapons officers confirmed that the plasma cannon was fully charged and ready to fire. "Send one final message to the human leadership," Thossack ordered. "Tell them they have 15 minutes to surrender, or we demonstrate the futility of resistance." The message reached President Carter as she sat in the Situation Room, surrounded by the leaders of Earth's military. Outside, the world held its breath, waiting to see if humanity would kneel or fight. "Madam President," Admiral Morrison said quietly, "it's time to decide." Carter looked around the room at the faces of humanity's defenders, then at Admiral Harper's image on the screen. "Alex, are your people ready?" "We've been ready for 3 years," Harper replied. "Give me the word and we'll show these aliens that humanity bows to no one." President Carter stood up, her decision made. "Admiral Harper, you are authorized to engage the enemy fleet. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth." On the main screen, Harper smiled grimly. "Copy that, Madam President. All Shadow Fleet units, this is Admiral Harper. Execute Operation Defiance. Let's remind the galaxy why humans don't make good slaves." Throughout the solar system, 130 human ships began decloaking simultaneously, appearing like ghosts from the darkness around the alien fleet. The Battle of Earth was about to begin. The first sign that something was wrong came when the stars began moving. War Prime Thossack was watching his targeting display, preparing to fire on Denver, when his sensor operator suddenly screamed, "War Prime, ships are appearing everywhere. Unknown contacts throughout our formation." On the main display, what had been empty space just seconds before now showed dozens of human vessels materializing from nowhere. They appeared simultaneously around the entire alien fleet, as if they had been hiding in the darkness itself. "Impossible," Krelnax shouted from his position on the command bridge. "Humans don't have stealth technology. Our sensors would have detected any ships?" Admiral Harper's voice suddenly filled every communication channel in the hegemony fleet, broadcast on frequencies the aliens had thought were secure. "Attention, hegemony forces. This is Admiral Alex Harper of Earth's Shadow Fleet. You came here expecting humanity to surrender. Instead, you're about to learn why we're the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The Shadow Fleet's opening attack was devastating and precise. Captain Roy Davis led his strike group against the alien fleet's port flank, his ships firing weapons the hegemony had never encountered. Quantum torpedoes tore through alien shields like they were made of paper, while adaptive plasma cannons adjusted their frequency with each shot. Commander Linda Clark's assault group hit the enemy's starboard formation with kinetic bombardment, systems that hurled metal projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The alien ships designed to withstand energy weapons had no defense against solid matter moving at relativistic velocities. "All units execute your attack patterns," Harper commanded from his flagship. Around him, Captain Ben Lewis coordinated the tactical network that linked every human ship in real time. Unlike the aliens, who relied on rigid command hierarchies, the Shadow Fleet operated as a single adaptive organism. Major Tony Rodriguez's fighter squadron swarmed through the alien formation like angry hornets. Their small ships carried weapons specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in hegemony technology. Plasma disruptors shut down alien power systems, while neural scramblers interfered with their computer networks. War Prime Thosak tried desperately to organize a response, but his forces were scattered and confused. "All ships return fire. Target the largest human vessels." But the human ships weren't behaving like any enemy the aliens had ever fought. Instead of maintaining formation and exchanging fire at long range, they darted between the alien vessels, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before return fire could be effective. Captain Ellen King, commanding the destroyer Retribution, led her ship through a gap in the alien formation that shouldn't have existed. Her weapons targeted the power conduits of enemy dreadnoughts, causing massive explosions that lit up space like new stars. "This is impossible," one of Thosak's commanders reported. "Our weapons are hitting their ships, but they're not taking damage." The truth was even more frightening. Dr. Michael Torres had developed adaptive shield technology that learned from each attack. Every time an alien weapon struck a human ship, the shields adjusted to better resist the next shot of the same type. Major Chris Adams, aboard the heavy cruiser Defiance, demonstrated the effectiveness of human innovation when his ship took a direct hit from an alien plasma cannon. Instead of being destroyed, the Defiance absorbed the energy and used it to supercharge its own weapons. "Target the enemy flagship," Adams called out. "Let's show their commander what human engineering looks like." The Defiance's return fire struck Thosak's ship with such force that it sent the massive alien vessel spinning. Alien crew members were thrown from their positions as systems throughout the ship began failing. Commander Nina Walsh and her stealth frigate Vengeance had infiltrated deep into the enemy formation. Her ship appeared directly behind Krelnax's flagship, firing quantum disruptor mines that created holes in space-time itself. "What are these weapons?" Krelnax screamed as reality seemed to tear around his ship. "This violates every principle of civilized warfare." Lieutenant Commander Rita Walsh, monitoring alien communications from her intelligence vessel, intercepted their increasingly panicked transmissions. "Admiral, they're trying to call for reinforcements, but our jamming systems are blocking their long-range communications." The battle was turning into a massacre, but not the one the aliens had expected. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were being torn apart by vessels they had dismissed as primitive. Human tactics seemed to violate every principle of space combat the hegemony understood. Captain Nick Barnes led his destroyer group in a coordinated strike against the alien command ships. His vessels moved in patterns that confused alien targeting systems, which were designed to track ships that followed predictable flight paths. "Their computers can't handle our maneuvering," Barnes reported. "They're programmed to fight enemies that follow standard military doctrine." Colonel Steve Murphy's specialized vessels deployed their most devastating weapons. Temporal displacement bombs created pockets of accelerated time around alien ships, causing them to age centuries in seconds. Metal fatigue and system failures spread through the enemy fleet like a plague. Commander Paula James led her assault group against the alien fleet's heavy dreadnoughts. These massive ships had never been seriously threatened by anything smaller than another dreadnought, but human weapons didn't follow alien rules. "Firing neural disruption torpedoes," James announced. "Let's see how well their ships function when their crews can't think straight." The torpedoes released clouds of particles that interfered with alien neural patterns. Crew members throughout the enemy fleet suddenly found themselves unable to concentrate or make decisions. Ships began drifting out of formation as their crews struggled with confusion and disorientation. Dr. Torres, commanding his research vessel, deployed experimental weapons that had been designed in secret laboratories. Gravity bombs created miniature black holes that pulled alien ships off course, while dimensional phasing systems allowed human vessels to pass through solid matter. Captain Julie Martinez commanded a group of stealth frigates that had been systematically destroying alien communication relays. Without coordination between their ships, the hegemony fleet was fighting as hundreds of individual vessels instead of as a unified force. Admiral Harper, Martinez reported, enemy communications are down to 30% effectiveness. They can't coordinate their remaining forces. War Prime Thossack watched his fleet being destroyed around him and realized that every assumption about human capabilities had been catastrophically wrong. These weren't the primitive, violent creatures his intelligence reports had described. They were something far more dangerous, a species that had turned warfare into an art form. "Send a surrender signal," Thossack ordered his communications officer. "Tell them we yield." But Admiral Harper's response was immediate and final. "There will be no surrender, no survivors, no witnesses. The galaxy will learn about human capabilities when we're ready to teach them." The Shadow Fleet pressed their attack with ruthless efficiency. Ships commanded by officers like Captain Greg Anderson, Commander Tina Roberts, and Colonel Bob Miller continued the systematic destruction of the alien fleet. As alien ships exploded around them, the few surviving hegemony commanders began to understand the terrible truth. They hadn't come to conquer a primitive species. They had walked into a trap set by predators who had been waiting for exactly this moment. The Battle of Earth was nearing its end, and humanity had proven that sometimes the prey becomes the hunter. The silence was deafening. Where moments before space had been filled with the thunder of weapons and the screams of dying ships, now there was only the quiet hum of human vessels moving through fields of debris. The mighty hegemony fleet, 847 ships strong, had been reduced to scattered wreckage drifting in Earth's orbit. Admiral Harper stood on his bridge, watching the final cleanup operations. Captain Julie Martinez led her stealth frigates through the debris field, ensuring that no alien technology or personnel had survived to report back to the hegemony. Her orders were clear. There would be no witnesses to what had happened here. "Admiral," Captain Derek Stone reported from his position near the largest piece of alien wreckage, "we're detecting life signs on 17 enemy vessels. What are your orders?" Harper's expression was stone cold. "Complete the mission, Captain. No survivors." The final phase of the battle was methodical and brutal. Ships commanded by officers like Commander Alice Freeman and Major Carmen Lopez moved through the wreckage, systematically destroying anything that might contain useful intelligence for the enemy. War Prime Thossack, trapped in the ruins of his flagship, sent one last desperate transmission on all frequencies. "Please, we surrender. We acknowledge human superiority. Spare those who remain." Captain Nathan Brooks, commanding a heavy destroyer, received the transmission and forwarded it to Admiral Harper. The response was immediate and final. No quarter given, no mercy shown. They came here to enslave humanity. Let the galaxy wonder, what happened to them? The last alien ships died in brilliant flashes of light as human weapons found their targets. In less than 4 hours, the most powerful invasion fleet in galactic history had been completely annihilated by a force they had never seen coming. On Earth, President Carter watched the battle's end from the Situation Room. The displays that had shown hundreds of enemy ships now showed only the gentle movement of human vessels and drifting debris. "It's over," Admiral Morrison said quietly. "They're all gone." Dr. Rachel Green looked up from her communications console, tears streaming down her face. "The Shadow Fleet is requesting permission to reveal themselves to Earth's population. They want to come home." President Carter nodded slowly. "Tell Admiral Harper that Earth welcomes its defenders home. And Rachel, prepare a broadcast for the entire galaxy. It's time the universe learned what happened here." Within hours, human ships began appearing over every major city on Earth. The massive vessels of the Shadow Fleet descended through the atmosphere like metal angels, their hulls scarred from battle but their weapon systems still glowing with barely contained power. Admiral Harper's flagship landed at Andrews Air Force Base, where President Carter waited with Earth's military leadership. As Harper walked down the ramp, the crowd of officials could see the changes that 3 years of secret warfare had made in him. He looked older, harder, but also more confident than any human leader in history. "Madam President," Harper said, as he saluted. "The Shadow Fleet reports mission accomplished. Earth is secure." President Carter returned the salute, then embraced the Admiral like an old friend. "Alex, you and your people have saved our entire species. How can we ever repay you?" "By making sure this never happens again," Harper replied. "We've bought ourselves time and respect. But the galaxy is full of predators. Earth needs to be ready for whatever comes next." Dr. Michael Torres emerged from the ship behind Harper, carrying data tablets filled with information about alien technology. "Madam President, what we've learned from captured hegemony vessels will advance human science by centuries. We're no longer the primitive species they thought we were." General Wright studied the technical readouts Torres provided. "These weapons, these shield systems, the stealth technology, where did it all come from?" Captain Ben Lewis answered from his position beside Harper. "From human ingenuity, sir. We took their technology and made it better. We found weaknesses they didn't know existed and exploited them in ways they never imagined. The Shadow Fleet's victory had been absolute, but Admiral Harper knew that word of the battle would eventually reach other parts of the galaxy. Earth needed to be prepared for whatever response might come. We're establishing permanent patrol groups throughout the solar system," Harper explained to the assembled leaders. "Ships commanded by officers like Admiral Sarah Blake, Captain Ellen King, and Major Chris Adams will ensure that no enemy force can approach Earth undetected." President Carter looked out at the human ships filling the sky above them. "What about the rest of the galaxy? Will they try to avenge the hegemony?" Admiral Jack Turner, who had just arrived from the outer shipyards, answered that question. "Ma'am, we've been monitoring galactic communications for the past few hours. The reaction isn't what you might expect." Dr. Torres brought up a holographic display showing communication intercepts from across the galaxy. "Dozens of species that were oppressed by the hegemony are celebrating our victory. They're calling it the liberation of Earth and asking if humanity will help free their own worlds." The implications were staggering. Earth had gone from being a target for conquest to being seen as a liberator by species across the galaxy. But with that status came new responsibilities and new dangers. Commander Linda Clark reported from her ship in orbit. "Admiral, we're receiving diplomatic requests from 17 different species. They want to establish trade agreements and mutual defense pacts with Earth." President Carter looked at Admiral Harper with amazement. "A few hours ago we were about to become slaves. Now we're being courted by galactic powers?" "That's what happens when you prove that you can't be pushed around," Harper replied. "Fear and respect are often the same thing when you're dealing with predatory species." The celebration of victory was interrupted by an urgent communication from Captain Roy Davis, commanding long-range reconnaissance. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple fleets approaching from various parts of the galaxy, but these don't appear to be hostile. The main display showed dozens of alien fleets moving toward Earth, but their formations and communication patterns indicated peaceful intentions. These were diplomatic missions, not invasion forces." Ambassador Krelnax, who had died in the opening minutes of the battle, would never have believed what he was seeing. Species that had served the hegemony for millennia were now rushing to establish relations with the humans they had planned to enslave. Dr. Green received the first official diplomatic communication within hours of the battle's end. "It's from the Altarian Republic," she announced. "They're requesting permission to send an ambassador to Earth to discuss a mutual defense treaty." More messages followed in rapid succession. The Centauri Alliance wanted to establish trade routes. The Vegan Confederation offered to share scientific knowledge. The Antaran Empire requested Earth's help in overthrowing their own hegemony oppressors. "This is incredible," President Carter said as she read through the diplomatic requests. "Yesterday we were alone in the galaxy. Today we're being invited to join galactic civilization as equals." Admiral Harper's expression remained serious. Helen, remember that this respect is based on fear of our military capabilities. We need to maintain that strength if we want to keep our new status. The Shadow Fleet began expanding immediately. Shipyards that had operated in secret for 3 years now revealed themselves openly. New vessels rolled off production lines every day, each one incorporating lessons learned from the Battle of Earth. Captain Nick Barnes was promoted to admiral and given command of the new Deep Space Patrol Fleet. His mission was to explore beyond Earth's solar system and ensure that no threats could approach undetected. Commander Paula James received her own promotion and took command of the Diplomatic Protection Fleet. Her ships would escort Earth's new ambassadors to alien worlds and demonstrate human military capability to potential allies and enemies alike. Colonel Steve Murphy became the head of Earth's new weapons development division. His job was to continue improving human technology and developing new surprises for any future enemies. As the sun set over Andrews Air Force Base, President Carter addressed the world from the steps of her aircraft. Behind her, the massive shapes of Shadow Fleet vessels dominated the sky. Citizens of Earth, she began. Today humanity faced extinction and chose to fight instead of surrender. Thanks to the courage and sacrifice of Admiral Harper and the Shadow Fleet, we are no longer prey in a galaxy full of predators. We have become hunters ourselves. The President paused, looking up at the alien debris still visible in orbit. Let this be a message to any species that might consider threatening Earth. Humanity does not kneel, we do not surrender, and we do not forget. The galaxy has been warned. As night fell, the lights of human ships could be seen moving among the stars, patrolling the space around Earth. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human dominance had begun. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, other species were learning a new truth. The most dangerous predator in the galaxy looked remarkably like prey until it was too late to run.